Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Capaldo, Wheelbarrow Man from Capaldo with Love. Welcome, and we'll be starting another podcast on Anchor.fm, and it will be episode 27 on Anchor. Starting with episode 26, we have been, and will be, converting the podcasts into YouTube videos. My wife, Betsy, will be doing the post-production. I do the production of the Anchor podcast, and then she converts it and adds some videos, does the post-production, and turns it into a YouTube episode as well. So starting with the last episode, episode 26 of the podcast, that YouTube video will be available shortly. This is episode 27 of the Anchor podcast, which will, I don't know, maybe in a few days, maybe in a week, will also be out on YouTube videos and a YouTube video version with some visual segments. That's what is added. So that'll be a new feature of what we're doing, is that the work will come out first in the form of an Anchor podcast, and then it will be converted into a YouTube version of the same podcast, and there will be some videos and visual segments added for effect, and it's just another way to view the same content, if that is of interest to people listening and watching. Today I'm going to talk about something that I'm calling the Great Divide, and basically what I'm saying is you have a true creator and a false creator, okay, and there are different ways of explaining that difference, but basically the true reality and the false reality. So we have the true creator, who's trying to take us in a certain way, the way of good, of spiritual good, the way of the divine. And then we've got the false creator that's always trying to divide people and, pit them one against another. And so I would just like to go through some of the ways, and this is just a handful of the ways in which the false creator tries to divide people and take people away from unity with the true creator. On a spiritual level, this is basically, I think we can just call it a battle between good and evil on the spiritual level. What we're seeing is some kind of, God, working behind the scenes and, using his own power and, raising up people and circumstances to create some new, some coming order. See, we tend to say that what's coming is the New World Order, but the New World Order, if you really study it, it's been around for 800, 900, maybe 1,000 years. This push to have a globalist regime, or now it's been called other things, deep state or cabal, but this push to have a global or globalist system. This is not the New World Order, really. If you study it, it's the established globalist order. And what may be happening behind the scenes, we're hoping that this is the case, is that God is raising up people and circumstances and using his power to eventually establish some kind of truly new regime under the Almighty Creator, new system under the Almighty Creator, a coming order based on Logos, based on the divine order of the universe and of the Almighty Creator, the Most High. So on a spiritual level, it looks like that's what's happening. But some of the divides that are promoted by the false creator are, for example, communism and fascism, two different forms of government. They kind of, sometimes they do combine and they are in unity, but communism, where the state owns the means of production, and fascism, where you have private corporations and the government working together as in one unit, and some of that you're seeing, in the U.S. with all these bailouts and big money to corporations, deciding which corporations are going to succeed, the big ones, and which are going to fail. So you have this kind of battle between communism and fascism, but sometimes they work together as well. You have a division between. It's kind of the same type of division between capitalist society, where people are, private entrepreneurs, and they invest their own capital, their own money, and their own time and their own labor into business, versus socialist, where the government really owns the means of production and does a lot of the organizing of the resources and allocation of resources and production and distribution of the final goods, whatever they might be, goods and services. You have a divide between left and right. Political ideology. This is a big part of what the false creator, or whatever you want to say, Lucifer, whatever you want to call this false reality, dividing the left and the right. And really, I think what we're seeing more and more is that it's the political order that is corrupt, and really the division anyway, the left-right division is kind of a fake division anyway. You can't really trust a lot of the people, and I think what's very disturbing, the more you find out what's really going on behind the scenes, and the more you get at truth, it's very disturbing. You come to realize that if people really knew who was involved in what, it would cause mass panic and hysteria, most likely is what it would cause, because most people are not in a position where they're ready to accept what's really going on. You remember that old film, I think it was Jack Nicholson was the one who said, "You can't handle the truth." It was somebody who said, "You can't handle the truth." I think it was Jack Nicholson. But this is really the situation that we're at. It's kind of a dangerous situation where you have all of these things like, extreme corruption and greed and even pedophilia among leaders, these things going on. And if people really knew who did what, I think it would create mass hysteria. I know that there are a lot of people that are panicking because this Ghislaine Maxwell has been apprehended, and if she sings like a canary, it's not going to be good for a lot of people. You have other divisions. The Catholic Church and Orthodox Church have divisions, and both of them are divided from Reformed Protestant denominations, and Reformed Protestantism itself has 30,000 denominations. So the false creator has really got in there and done a good job dividing people of faith or people of religion, and that has created a lot of pain throughout history. Division of Muslim and Christian. If you look at certain movements, there's really what I would call a political philosophy or ideology of Zionism. It's like a party, like the Zionist party. Is what I would call it, but it's mostly Christians that are supporting the Zionist party. But one thing, or basically, the Zionist party is running on a global agenda. It's based on Talmudic Judaism, the party philosophy, but the global agenda is governing the world, ruling the world, and a big part of that agenda is to make sure that Muslims and Christians are always fighting each other and killing each other, and it's the Palestinians are one group of people that can be used for that purpose, but they're not the only ones. So this is a force of division, this particular political philosophy, and it really seeks dominance, global dominance, but also fomenting strife between Muslims and Christians. And not to say that there aren't problems between Muslims and Christians, but a lot of them are artificially encouraged, let's say, by the Zionist political philosophy. Sunni and Shia, even among Muslims, you have those two groups. Probably about 80 to 85% of Muslims are Sunni, and 15 to 20% are Shia, and they're fighting a lot. Syria and Iran are the big Shia countries, or Syria has some, the ruling family is Shia, but Iran is the big Shia country. And then you've got all of the Reformed Protestant denominations, as I was saying, and they're estranged from each other, or divided from each other in many respects, and from the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church. And the big division promoted by the false creator that you're seeing now in the U.S. is black and white, and based on something that happened in U.S. history. There's a big discussion now about slavery. And slavery is a very complex sociological issue, and of course it's wrong biblically, it's wrong ethically, morally, economically, however you want to call it. And the founding fathers would have done well to get rid of slavery before they embarked on the U.S. Constitutional journey, the founding of the U.S. and Republic, and before embarking on that journey, they would have done well to eliminate slavery. At the same time, if we had to wait for man to be perfect before we did anything, people to be perfect before anything was done, nothing would ever get done. So, it's a tragic part of history, but it's also very complex because there were certainly black slaves in the South, and there aren't now, but some of the things that were done after were almost as bad. Like, if you study things like convict leasing and sharecropping, that type of thing, and see what went on. There's another name for sharecropping, peonage. If you study like that, it's kind of like the serfdom that took place in Russia. If you study those things, you see the immediate post-slavery life, Jim Crow so-called, was not very elegant either. It was not the glorious life either. But the thing about slavery is, all you can do is let the spirit reform your soul, basically, and the way you think about people. Slavery, there was slavery of black people. There were also, what makes it very complicated is that there were also white slaves, and you should look into that. And there were black people who sold other black people into slavery. You should look into that. So it's a very complex thing. Of course, it was a calamity for U.S. history that there should be any kind of slavery, and none of it should ever have happened. And ideally, it would have been dealt with before the U.S. Republic was launched. But that's the way it is. But this is you can see the other side, the Luciferian side, having a field day with this. This other. This false creator just having a field day with the black-white divide. And then another one is the gay-straight divide. Instead of just saying, look, you have to sort it out. People have to sort out their own business on the basis of love and respect. We know the biology of a man and a woman producing a child. We understand that. If it's something else that we're talking about, people have to sort it out and show love and respect for each other. And when it's appropriate to mind your own business, mind your own business. But this is another one that people love to dwell on this one. And we see the pride symbol, the rainbow. Well, the rainbow is a biblical image, and I think the natural rainbow that you see up in the sky, it's much more beautiful than anything that a man could create. But it's very much a fact that the rainbow is a symbol of creation, and so I think we can honor it like that. And of course, the male and female divide. What goes on in marriage, what goes on in worship, and what's the role of the male and what's the role of the female. And the false creator loves to dwell on that. That's a big one. Okay, I think that men and women are made differently, and my own view of these things is that man is offered the role of leadership, and if a man somehow does not fulfill that role, then of course women are going to lead. The role of leadership that man is offered is in basically loving and bringing people to the love of Christ. So you love your wife in that way and bring her to the love of Christ. And in worship, you love other people and share the word and share truth and that type of thing. And that's the type of leadership thing. Not all of these offices, these church official church ordination positions. This pastor and teacher and evangelist and apostle and prophet. I mean, this is not really, there's no official church ordination for all of that. Really, these are things that you do if you're called to a certain role, right? And you never use your role to oppress other people. And people seem to have forgot that sometimes. If you look at leave and remain, the UK, the whole Brexit thing, you have the leave people and the remain people, the remainers, the leavers and the remainers. And we see what has happened. Brexit went through, so now the UK is no longer, it's in the process of leaving. of leaving Europe, and so but that's a division. That's something that divided that society, UK society. In the US, you have the Republicans and the Democrats. Although many would say there's not much of a difference between the two, and you can't rely on either one of them. And they're awful, each in their own slightly different way. But there is a division there. You have the people who are afraid of COVID-19, or they believe it, or they think that they should take the measures that they've been told to take. You have the sort of afraid of COVID-19 people and the unafraid of COVID-19 people. And that causes a divide. What about masks? What about social distancing? What about opening or closing shops and the economy? And other things are coming too. What about should people accept to be tested for COVID? Should they accept to be vaccinated for COVID? Should they accept digital currency? I mean, why not just cash or plastic, or if you want some gold or silver? I think that would be a good thing to do if you can if you can afford some kind of plan to do that. For $20 a month, you could buy an ounce of silver, for example. I know it's not very much silver, but also $20 a month is not very much to spend. 20 to 25, it depends on what kind of premium. I don't give financial advice, obviously, but this is why do we have to just go completely into this digital economy? Why not just use the cash and the plastic and some goods, some precious metals if you have them, or some crypto if you're interested in that? We're being told all these things that are going to divide people, and they are dividing people. North-South in many countries. Well, the U.S. Civil War, the North. If you look at the planet, the rich North, the poor South, that type of thing. The people versus government, mainstream media, and very often the church that is supposed to be for the people. Very often they sell out for tax money. And then, where do we live? Do we live on basically something that is more or less flat, or do we live on a spinning globe? How much is that divided? I mean, the false creator has used this to really divide people, seriously divide people, and I think you should study that. I think it's good to know where you live, and what are the characteristics of where you live, and the galaxy that you live in. What are the characteristics of the sun, the moon, and the stars? Look up all that. I think from the study I've done, I think there are certainly reasons to think that we have a dome, and we have a pit, and we have a more or less cylindrical flat surface. I think there are reasons to believe that, but also it should not be a reason for division. And the false creator, the other side, whatever you want to call it, is very good at dividing people in that area. Has there been space travel or not been space travel? There's a lot of division sown about that. I think what you have to do is you obviously start where you're at, and you just you keep learning truth. If something pops up a few times and it's sort of the same thing, well, you check it out and see how credible is it, and let the Spirit of Christ witness to you that this is really the way it looks. This looks to be true, and I can embrace this. I can incorporate this. I can add this to my knowledge and understanding and belief in truth, and take it from there. So anyway, these are a few of the things that the false creator uses to divide people and take them away from the true creator by dividing them between themselves. Well, what should we do? As I was saying in one of the other messages, have a vision for your own life. As much as you can, get back to an appreciation of the land and of heritage and of healing. How do you heal yourself? And how do you want to design your life before the Almighty Creator? And how do you want to share? What kind of loving and sharing do you want to do in these new economic circumstances that are coming upon us? Is it just going to be an economic collapse, or is there going to be a true reset that is going to be better for people? Well, time will tell. But to decide, that you're going to be part of a loving and sharing community and a loving and sharing economy. Maybe, there are alternative economies, alternative activities that can be done in the new economic circumstances. Maybe a new internet if you've got a community of people. Maybe a new type of currency if you've got a community of people that can, that have skills and they want to work on that with you. But you need community. So the vision should include the land, where you live, and it should include healing and respect for your heritage. Not when things are not good, admit that it was not good, but respect your heritage. Don't assume that because somebody has some symbol that is different from your symbol that they're automatically a racist, right? That's not a spiritual thing to do, or not a positive, not a good spiritual thing to do. It's a bad spiritual thing to do. And design your life before the Almighty Creator in a loving and sharing way as we move from the old into something new, whatever it's going to be, and we'll see. Christ has the victory. It's just a question of when certain things will be manifest, when they will be obvious, when they will be more visible. There are a lot of things that God has to clean up in the meantime before we get there. So we just see what happens. But you should have faith in God and faith in the future, and not lose hope. By all means, don't lose hope. So I'll end the main message there, and we'll just conclude the podcast with the prayers that we do. We'll start with Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. For He will rescue you from the hunter's trap and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is body armor and shield. You will not fear the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the plague that stalks in darkness, nor the scourge that lays waste at noon. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only look on with your eyes and see the wicked paid back. For you have made the Lord your dwelling, who is my refuge, even the Most High, who is my refuge. So no evil will befall you, nor any plague come near your tent. For He will give His angels charge over you to guard you in all your ways. Upon their hands they will lift you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. You will tread upon the lion and cobra, trample the young lion and serpent, because He has devoted His love to me, says the Lord. I will deliver him. I will set him securely on high, because he knows my name. When he calls on me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble, rescue him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be Thy name. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we've forgiven those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.